States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I'll make a correction, it's the 18th, not the 16th. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Beagle.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Present.
Councilmember Behrman.
Present.
Councilmember Godgill. Here. Councilmember Glenn Fox.
Here.
Councilmember O'Day.
Here.
Councilmember Sharp.
Present.
We have quorum.
Thank you. Changes or additions to the agenda as presented tonight. City Manager.
Mayor, I have no changes nor additions.
Assistant City Manager.
I have none, sir.
Any from the dais? Go ahead, Keaton.
Thank you. I'd like to add as new business number 6 a discussion relating to planning for data centers within the city.
Very good. Anybody else? All right, seeing none. Next up is a public hearing. It's a public hearing to solicit community input regarding the utilization of the 2026 Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, program allocation. And before we start, I will read the rules for the public hearing. Persons desiring to address the council shall state their name and address. Individual persons shall be allowed 5 minutes to address the council. There shall be no questioning by the audience of persons addressing the council. However, the council members may question the persons addressing the council, and no person shall be allowed to address the council more than once. With that, I'll open the public hearing. And go ahead, step on up.
My name is Candy Hovarder. I live at 3128 Brighton Road in Howell, and I represent the Meals on Wheels program that serves seniors in your area. So I think you got a letter from us. We're just asking for some support here to help pay for these meals. We do send out an invoice monthly and ask them to contribute, if they can, $4 per meal, and we're finding that more and more of them can't help. You know, and our food costs are going up. You know, we make the food in Brighton and we bring it for the Wixom residents. We take it to the Milford Senior Center, and then they package them up and deliver them for us, and it's great. We're grateful for that, but there are so many seniors that need meals, and so we were just hoping for support for that. Last year, we gave the Wixom residents 8,000 meals, and it was about 52 Wixom residents. For some of these people, like we're their only food source. For them, we'll bring them frozens on the weekends. The second Saturday in November this year, we delivered Blizzard boxes for them, and that's shelf-stable food they can have in the event we can't come. You know, we don't ask our drivers to go out like an ice storm, something happens, they'll always have food. You know, we always are just trying to take care of them. And then they go through, our volunteers all go through a background check, so they have a friendly face to like, how you doing, where'd you grow up, isn't it nice today? You know, stuff like that. And then some of these people, we have to give them resources as well, which we don't mind. You know, if we think there's a need, we'll tell them about Habitat for Humanity, or we'll tell them another resource that might be available to them. We're just trying to let them stay home. You know, that's where they want to be. We have a pet food program. We'll bring pet food for them. We want them to keep their pets. Sometimes that's their only companion. And a lot of times our delivery person, our volunteer, is the only one that checks on them all day. So that source of companionship and a wellness check, you know, is really meaningful for them. Questions for me?
Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Beagle, City Council. Hi, George Robinson, 49-year resident of Wexham, 2043 Lamella. And I'm here representing our local St. Vincent de Paul Conference, which has served the community for over 24 years with the all-volunteer team. We meet twice a month at the St. William Church in Walled Lake. And last year, our fiscal year, which runs October to September, we assisted 21 Wexham households, providing over $19,800 in rent, utilities, and food support. This is thanks to the donations from St. William parishioners in collaboration with other churches and agencies in the area. And our mission is to assist those facing emergencies that could lead to homelessness using the CDBG funds for needs such as food, housing costs, utilities, medical expenses, and transportation and clothing. There is no fee to administer or provide these services to those that need. And our meeting area is at 531 Common Street in Walled Lake. But we appreciate any cooperation with the council and the city that we can request, because the need is even greater with the number of apartments that we have that we service here in Wixom. It's difficult with raising rents the way they are, 6 to 10% increase a year, to help keep people in their apartments so they're not homeless and there's not a transient situation with people getting evicted and materials thrown out on the road and things of that nature. But mainly the heartache for the people that fall into emergency situations. It's good to be able to step into the community and provide some hands-on support, which we do. So if there's any questions.
Questions? No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Susan Erspalmer. I'm from Hospitality House Food Pantry. I live at 1576 Chanticleer Circle in Wixom. Been there since 1992. I think most of you are familiar with Hospitality House Food Pantry. We have a client choice food pantry and a weekend food program. To save time, I won't go into the details of both of those programs. Correct me if I'm wrong if any of you are not familiar with it. All right. So Hospitality House Food Pantry, an overall view, we not only serve Wixom, we serve Oakland County. In January through October, we had a little over 1,600 households consisting of over 4,000 individuals that visited our pantry, and that was over 15,000 visits and over 900,000 pounds of food. When you narrow it down to Wixom, which I know that's what you're the most interested in that same 10-month time period, we distributed almost 125,000 pounds of food to 226 Wixom households, representing 556 individuals. The value of that food, and we follow the Feeding America guideline for valuing the food, is $245,519.13. to be precise. Besides our client choice food pantry and the numbers I just mentioned to you, we do have our weekend food program that provides the drawstring bags with 6 meals and 4 snacks weekly to Walled Lake Consolidated School District, which I know is a part of Wixom as well. I wanted to briefly mention, I know you're all aware of the pause in SNAP benefits and that impact it had on Hospitality House. We have seen record unprecedented numbers of people coming to our pantry seeking support. That would be a 66% increase in new clients, and that isn't counting the number of clients that came back to us maybe after not coming for several months or even years, that because they lost their SNAP benefits, now they're coming to us. We did not turn anyone away. Hospitality House will never turn anyone away. But this unprecedented growth with the pause in SNAP was a lot on the pantry. We had lines almost outside of our pantry where we typically don't have lines because we're appointment-based because of the sheer numbers. So I can tell you in the last 30 days, we pulled this yesterday, for Wixom residents, we served 127 households, 352 individuals, and 215 visits, and that's just in 30 days at the pantry with Wixom residents. In addition to these programs, we also have a Thanksgiving program. This year, we have a record number. Last year, we were at 516 households. We have over 650 households seeking our support, and we have met the goal of having 650 meal boxes with turkeys. Shout out to St. William students over here. They packed 200 of those bags today for Hospitality House, so I'd like to thank them for their hard work today of the students there. We also have a holiday house and a back-to-school program for our clients where we give a backpack full of school supplies. Thank you again for having me here and for your support and considering us for CBDG funding. Any questions? All right, thank you again.
Thank you. Anybody else for the public hearing? All right, with that, I'll close the public hearing. And before we move on, I would just like to acknowledge the Student Council from St. William's School here. They got a tour of the facilities tonight, and they're here watching us do our job in taking care of the city. So thank you for being here tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope to see you back soon. The second Tuesday and fourth Tuesday of every month. Come on in. You can enjoy this. Or you can watch it on YouTube, one of the two. All right, with that, we'll move on to approval of minutes. We got one set of minutes to approve tonight, and that's from the regular city council meeting of October 28, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Support.
Any questions, discussion? It's about as much discussion as we had at that meeting, so. I got a motion and a second to approve the regular city council meeting minutes of October 28, 2025. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Correspondence, we got one item of correspondence tonight, and that's the Planning Commission, a regular meeting schedule for 2026. And this brings us to the first call to the public. I'll read those rules. They are as follows. The public shall address the council during the call to the public, which shall be included on the agenda immediately after correspondence and again immediately after new business. The first call to the public immediately after correspondence shall be limited to agenda items only. A person shall not address the council in excess of 5 minutes unless time is extended by majority vote of the council present. Persons wishing to address the council shall identify themselves and their place of residence and shall state their reasoning for addressing the council. And all comments by the public shall be made directly to the council. Do we have anybody for the first call to the public? Seeing none, I'll close that. First call to the public, and we have city manager's report. The first report is from the fire department for September 2025. Any questions for the chief? All right, next up is the police report from September 2025. Any questions for police chief? Wow. Moves us to the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine by city council and will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the items will be removed from the consent agenda and added to the regular agenda at the end of unfinished or new business. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Support.
I got a motion and support to approve the consent agenda as presented tonight. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. We have no unfinished business tonight, so it moves us to the first item of new business, and that's a recommendation to authorize the submittal of the 2026 Community Development Block Grant Program allocation in the amount of $48,527 with $3,640 for public services / emergency services and $3,639 for public service / senior services and $41,248 for civic center improvements. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Support.
Very good. Ms. McGee?
Before you tonight is a recommendation to authorize the submittal of the 2026 Community Block Grant Program allocation. Those of you that have been through this program before realize the Block Grant Program provides funding for the purpose of renovating older homes, revitalizing neighborhoods, providing human services, rebuilding community infrastructure that all provide for low to moderate income residents. Qualified projects must be located in census tracts that are located in low to moderate incomes and families that meet HUD requirements. We have 2 census tracts in Wixom, and they are both south of Pontiac Trail. Federal regulations concerning the utilization of these funds require public funding to be held to solicit comments and recommendations from individuals and groups to be used for this request. In 2026, the CDGB allocation will be $48,527 with no more than 15% or $7,279 for public services. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Councilmember Grenla Fox?
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Two questions for you. One, and I mean, you might have talked about this before, but in one of the letters, one of the people, it was from Haven, talked about the recent changes in the community development block grants as far as only supporting 2 programs rather than 4. Can you talk about that, give the history?
Yes, Community Block Grant unfortunately changes their program guidelines almost every year. So they do get changed a little bit back and forth, but we actually can apply for 4 programs, but those are limited by restrictions with public agencies that you can only provide for 1 in like emergency services or 1 in public services, and they can't be more than 30, they have to be a minimum of 3,500 each. So what we're recommending is to utilize 2 public service agencies because we can with the 7,000, but it's council's decision what they'd like to do with that.
Okay, and then my other question, if you could just explain maybe for everyone how this gets divided up year after year, as far as there's, what, five different organizations that are looking for, that need money. So how is that determined, who gets what in what year?
What we have done in the past is we've tried to do a allocation of rotating between the agencies. Last year was the only year we did 1 agency because of the guidelines, again, had changed, and so we could only do 1, and that was 2 Hospitality House, and now they changed the guidelines back that we can do 2 with a major project. But in the past, we have tried to rotate it between the requests.
Okay. And then as far as the amount, I know you talked about it can be a minimum of, but what is the maximum?
It has to be a minimum of 3,500 per agency, and our maximum for the 15% is 7,279. So we only have 15% of our total allocation.
Okay. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Thank you. In the past, Ms. McGee, we used to also take a look at what Walled Lake, Wolverine Lake, Novi were doing. They may not have voted on theirs yet, but do we have an inkling?
Well, with the guidelines changing, a lot of them are not doing public services this year. They're waiting to combine it to two years next year.
Okay.
So all the guidelines have changed, where a lot of them are authorizing.
Because I know over my 16 years here, we've always tried to make sure that everybody gets serviced at least by one of the communities. So.
Correct. And HUD is now, we qualify that we can actually service 2 public agencies, but some of them don't even meet the minimum of 3,500, so they can't do any of them. So those guidelines have changed that formula.
We're fortunate to be in a giving community, and I know that a lot of people are pitching in other ways, so thank you.
Councilmember Sharp?
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. McGee, the 41,000 is remaining for the Civic Center improvements. It says funded over 3 funding cycles. Is that, it shows below, is that 24, 25, and 26? We're combining those 3 into a big project, or are you taking 26, 27, and 28?
No, correct on the first
So
one.
we've summed it up, and
This would be the third year.
and those improvements are already complete, is that correct? The
No,
extension?
just
They're not
the
yet.
addition of the pathway and other Civic Center improvements.
Okay, so we haven't started that yet, but now that we've
Correct.
funded it completely with 3 years, we're going to start that
Correct.
extension. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Gacho?
Thank you. I just wanted to comment, it's, I guess, tangential to this, but that continuing to look for ways to include our local charities and events to be beneficiaries. I believe it was the wine tasting and the current DDA food drive to benefit Hospitality House, Derby Days for Camp Casey. Kind of in my mind, our goal should be every city event we have to try and have a beneficiary as a local charity. You had mentioned the rules always change. They never seem to get better or more charitable. They get worse, which is an issue when costs are going up. So if we can just, I know we've talked in the past about how can we get more money to them, and we can't, but that seems to be the workaround, is to try and have something for the benefit of the charities. That way we can help everybody out. So I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilmember O'Day.
Thank you. Just a quick question also with regard to the information in the administrative summary. If I'm understanding, I just want to make sure I am understanding, that any of the award will be available no later than October 2026?
Correct. So this is actually an application for program year 2026. They try to hit October. We haven't received $2025 yet, and it's November, but their target zone is October.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I'm good.
Okay, thank you. As you can see, our hands are pretty much tied on how we can distribute this. So if you're not one of the people or organizations asking for help from us with the CDBG funds, it's not because we don't like you or whatever. It's just, as you heard, the restrictions and everything that we have, our hands are tied on how we can do things. So we apologize that we can't service everybody, because we just can't. So with that, I've got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to authorize the submittal of the 2026 Community Development Block Grant Program allocation in the amount of $48,527 with $3,640 for public services / emergency services, and $3,639 for public services / senior services, and $41,248 to the Civic Center improvements. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next up, new business number 2 is a recommendation to approve a preliminary site condominium plan proposed as a clustered housing development at 4038 West Maple from Pine Cove Investments, LLC, for the development of 18 single-family residential lots on 2 parcels totaling 9.35 acres, zoned R3, 1-family residential, parcel identification numbers 17-31-151-046 and 17-31-151-047 with conditions as recommended by the Planning Commission. The motion?
Support.
Very good. With us tonight from Carlisle Workman is Mario Pasquala.
Good evening. Mateo Paslacqua, Carlisle Workman Associates. We're the planning consultants for the city. I have to say that. I'm not correcting you on your pronunciation of my name. Hey, you works. You can point, whatever you want to do.
I'll remember that next time.
Yeah, no problem. To that note, it's good to see you this evening, Mayor.
Thank you.
Welcome back. I don't know if this is your first meeting, not your first meeting back, but it's the first that I've seen you, so it's nice to see you again. And all of you as well. I cover all the bases. So as was stated, tonight you have in front of you an application requesting to construct a site condo consisting of 18 single-family housing units. The site does consist of 2 parcels equaling 9.35 gross acres. Those lots will need to be combined prior to building permits being issued. The site's located along West Maple near the Milford Township border to the west end of the city. The project proposes to utilize the city's clustered housing ordinance. Clustered housing ordinances are encouraged by state law to allow to have local municipalities allow for denser developments, or at least reduced lot size developments, with the purpose of retaining natural features and providing open space. The site's underlying zoning district is R3, which requires a 12,500 square foot lot. If developed utilizing the underlying zoning, the project could accommodate 16 units. So you'll see me reference this a few times, but here to the left is what's called a parallel plan, and then to the right is what they're proposing. The parallel plan shows you how the 16 units would be laid out utilizing the 12,500 square foot lots. And then the parallel plan shows you the reduced lot size, increased unit count, and we'll kind of go through deviations a little bit later to outline kind of where they're asking for some reductions in the requirements for lot sizes. The process, my apologies, the site is surrounded by R3 zones and single-family zoning housing. The master plan future land use map designates the site and its surroundings as medium density, which relates back to the 12,500 square foot lots. The process for clustered housing and condo developments is preliminary recommendation from planning, preliminary approval from council, and then we go through the same thing for final. So as it relates to the clustered housing developments, the ordinance provides standards and guidance for the criteria required to be eligible for this type of development, as well as what standards may be deviated from. We'll kind of paraphrase each requirement in our response as we go through it, but obviously if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them at the end. These plans do require the parallel plan, which I had noted, to be shown as to how the site would be developed under R3. And the parallel plan here again shows that they could get 16 units out of the R3 development requirements if they were pursuing a permitted by right project. We will discuss the plan as it relates to the project throughout the report, but one item to highlight is that if pursuing permitted by right would put a lot of the areas that they're looking to preserve with natural preservation and open space into actual site condo lots, which would leave those areas a little bit more susceptible to private owner activity as it relates to potential clearing of trees and or encroaching on wetlands. We also note that under the R3 development, the detention pond would need to be located in the southeast corner of the site where they do have a considerable amount of mature trees. Now where they're calling for is actually up in a more clear area of the site in the northwest corner of the project. So that's kind of the big one to keep in mind, and the difference between the two projects and how the clustered housing development meets, or at least presents, meeting the requirement of open space and natural preservation. So the project should provide moderate density of residential areas to provide for efficiency of services, reduction of transit needs, and provide desirable living environments, as well as preserving natural character. The site's there are 4.24 acres of the 9.35 that'll be devoted to open space. The proposed density is 2.36 units per acre, which is higher than the permitted by zoning, but as mentioned earlier, would put a larger development footprint on the entire site. The project should encourage a creative approach to residential development. The site design and the unit models are pretty orthodox, but we're talking about 4.5 acres. There's not a lot of room to get super creative. But there isn't anything about it that's so unconventional that wouldn't work. The developer is proposing a short pathway at the northern portion of the site that would terminate over an outlook. The project should assurance should be given regarding the natural preservation. The ordinance requires that the natural preservation and open space be documented and recorded in a legal agreement, which is required prior to final site plan approval. So if they get through this evening, then that document would need to be part of their final site plan submission for the city's review. The project should encourage efficient, aesthetic, and desirable open areas while reducing development costs and preserving natural features. Again, the reduction in the lot width allows for more units to be along the road. The road's going to be as long as it's going to be, but they can put more units on it, which creates a little bit of a development efficiency and does preserve areas predominantly in the western and northern portions of the site. And the project should encourage development of accessible open space and recreational facilities. Some open space areas are accessible via sidewalks, benches, outlooks, and short paths. During our preliminary review and conversation with the Planning Commission, Carlisle Wortman had suggested the opportunity to connect to the Cameron Court development to the northwest of the site via pedestrian connection. At the meeting, several residents from neighboring developments came out to speak on the project. In paraphrasing their responses, we didn't really receive any outright objections to the project itself, but the residents of Cameron Court were not very interested in the pedestrian connection, and so the Planning Commission kind of went along with, that desire from those residents. As far as the other comments that were made from residents, I'll let the developer speak to that, but again, there wasn't any major opposition. It was more of a, can you tweak this? Can you change that? And I know the developer's been in communication with those residents, so I'll let them speak to that. As it relates to more kind of eligibility criteria, the site has to have a recognizable benefit to the residents and city through site design. Again, the primary benefit here is the preservation of natural areas and open space. That kind of feeds into the next requirement, which is preservation of significant natural features and wetlands. Again, as we stated earlier, the difference between the two projects is there's just more land that will be dedicated to open space and natural preservation in perpetuity, as opposed to having susceptibility to private owner property rights. The project should have cohesive neighborhood design with recreation and open space accessible to all residents. The open space that is provided, essentially with this outlook to the north, is accessible by most of the residents, or the outlook to the north is accessible by all the residents, and more of the open space kind of to the rear is more accessible to the folks along the west side of the road, just as a pleasing visual out the back door. The site needs to have single ownership and disclosure of the developer responsible for constructing it through all phases. Pine Cove LLC is the responsible party for the project and the owner. It needs to be consistent with the master plan. The 2020 plan does support these types of developments via objectives to offer more housing, ownership opportunities, neighborhood designs, utilization of open space, and natural preservation. When we're looking at density, we highlight the lot and setback deviations kind of later in this review. I'll kind of get to those in a few minutes. But they may opt to construct, under clustered housing, they can opt to pursue the same amount of units that would be available under the R3, which we've established to be the 16. But if they offer a little bit more open space and meet a little bit more of your criteria, they can request a density bonus of up to 25%. So that would be 4 units in this instance. They're requesting for 2. So they would like a density bonus to go to 18 units instead of the 16. In order to do that, the site must offer 50% more than the required open space rec areas. 45% of the site is open space and rec area, which meets the standard of a 50% increase in that. Initially, what was required is 30%. They're at 45. That's the 50% increase. So they do meet that criteria. The design would incorporate walkable neighborhoods with connections to other destinations in the city. Sidewalks are proposed along both sides of the street and connect to sidewalks on West Maple. The site's not geographically close to other major neighborhoods or city destinations, so it's not as though that criteria kind of works in their favor. Again, there were conversations about some pedestrian connections, but the residents of Cameron Court respectfully declined interest in that. The design should be compact and walkable. The lots are compact and the neighborhood is walkable. And then significant open space features to be preserved. Again, 45% of the site is being preserved or dedicated to open space and the preservation of natural areas. Clustered housing developments must meet all the city's condominium regulations. We will discuss that a little bit later in the review. When we look at open space, 1/2 of the minimum required open space shall be usable upland that shall be improved to provide active or passive recreation. I'll give any of the students in the crowd $50 right now if you know what that means. Oh, he was crying. Don't worry about it. It takes me time to figure out what that means. But more than half of the required open space is upland, including the outlook area to the north with the benches. All wetlands and streams are preserved in the open space area. That standard has been met. The open space shall be located to minimize the removal of woodlands. The site does propose preservation of woodlands and wetlands. They did provide a tree survey, which I'll discuss in a few minutes. They need a 25-foot setback from all open space, floodplains, wetlands, and streams. That standard has been met. Open space is designed to include rec trails, picnic areas, parks, and greenways. Again, passive recreation is provided via the benches and the outlook to the north. And then access to the open space is provided by means of streets and pedestrian connections. Again, you can see that via road or sidewalk, you can get to what they're offering. So that's all of the stuff that gets considered when deciding whether or not to kind of allow what they're asking for in deviations in clustered housing. The Planning Commission, during their meeting, did agree or was agreeable to the open space, the rec plan, and the natural preservation. They were also agreeable to the additional 2 units, so allowing them to do 18 instead of 16. To note the dimensional setbacks or the dimensional standards that they're requesting variations from. Minimum lot areas in R3, again, are 12,500 square feet. They are proposing lots that range from 6,900 square feet to 11,000 square feet, so about a 1,500 to 5,600 square foot reduction. Minimum lot widths in R3 are 80 feet. Their narrowest lots are at 56 feet, so about a 24-foot reduction. The front setbacks for R3 are 35 feet. They're proposing 25 feet. Side setbacks are 6 and 16 feet total. They're at 6 and 12, so 6 and 6 on each side. So that's a 6-foot reduction there. And then the rear is 35 in R3. They are still proposing to retain 35 rear yard setbacks. And then there's no deviation requested for the building heights or how many stories the housing units can be. The PC did review these deviations, did deem them to be appropriate as part of their conditional approval. In considering services and utilities, the site is proposing a detention pond in the northwestern portion of the site. Stormwater will also be diverted into the wetlands. The applicant has provided documentation allowing for the construction of the road over the gas main that runs east-west through the property. Looking at parking, no issues, other than there is a standard that no more than 35% of the front yard can be covered by driveway. That calculation is not in the preliminary plan, although we did work with the developer prior to make sure that that's not going to be a problem, and they don't believe it will be. So that's a dimension that we will have available at final. But again, preliminarily, it looks like it'll be fine. Access and circulation, the site's accessed off of West Maple and meets all of the circulation requirements for vehicles and pedestrians. All of the landscaping requirements that would be applied to this site have been met. Again, the city requires a tree survey whenever you're looking to remove a certain amount of mature or landmark trees. You have to provide a tree survey. The applicant did that and provided the calculations. So there are 44 on-site trees that will be saved. 6 regular trees and 3 landmark trees will be removed, which would then facilitate the requirement that 12 trees be planted to replace them, which they are proposing. No issues with lighting or signage. The unit design, the model designs that they have, range from 2,000 to 2,500 square feet with 3 to 4 bedrooms and 2 to 3 bathrooms. The exterior construction materials are horizontal and vertical siding with brick and stone incorporated into the facade. Modified elevations will be required at final to understand how much of those materials will be used on the side and rear elevations. As we stated earlier, the project does need to meet your condo regulations. It does meet all of those regulations with the exception of you have a requirement that streets are to be no longer than 500 feet. However, the Planning Commission can take into certain considerations and waive that requirement. So the road is 627 feet long. Planning Commission didn't have a problem with that, and we didn't note any engineering didn't have a problem with it, fire didn't have a problem with it. So usually if those agencies are on board, then PC feels pretty comfortable granting the waiver for that. So with that, the kind of the overall recap of it is that the Planning Commission did conditionally approve the open space, rec plan, and natural feature preservation. They did conditionally approve the unit density bonus from 16 to 18. They conditionally approved the lot deviations that they are requesting, and they conditionally approved that the road can be longer than 500 feet up to the 627 feet. And with that, really the only other part of that condition is that the open space preservation agreement be presented to us during final review, so we can make sure that that says what it needs to say about preserving the areas and what you can and can't do. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions if council has them.
Councilmember Sharp?
Thank you, Mayor. I have 3. I was hoping I'd be first. I figured there'd be some others. First of all, I support this overall, but I do have a few questions. The parallel plan on the left, just for my education, if they were to have pursued that one, we wouldn't even be talking tonight, would we? Is that buildable at 12,500 feet and the standard zoning? It would just be through probably Planning Commission and the building office, right?
Correct. It would be a permitted by right project.
Okay.
It is our job to make sure that the parallel plan is realistically presented as developable. The 2 units that work their way around the stormwater easement, these 2 units, these lots here under R3 are technically developable. They need to be laid out pretty odd, but they're going to be the capital development.
Okay.
So we consider that fair.
All right. The other one, I just wanted to comment to you, Mateo, and Mateo. Yes?
That's me.
Sorry. I usually have it in front of me when I say it.
Don't worry.
To you and to the Planning Commission and Assistant City Manager Benson, I read pretty thoroughly the whole thing, and I thought this was city government at its finest, where you had something that needed to be adjusted, the Planning Commission heard it, had a public hearing, people came out to talk about it because they had all been notified that it was on the agenda. They came and spoke, sounded like it was a very collegial meeting, and then the developer, at the end of the day, is willing to work with those residents to make some adjustments. I just was really impressed by the whole package, and that encourages my support of it because it comes to us with very little baggage. You know, it sounds pretty doable. So thank you for managing all that. I know that's what you do, so I appreciate the work you've done.
I couldn't do it without your team at the city.
Yeah, we got a good one, that's for sure. And the last question I have, though, is kind of not really part of this, but I noticed on the right side there, you said the Habitat Park, the Wixom Habitat Park up in the top right. And that was surprising to me because it's on the southwest side of the railroad track. And so it has no public access because you can't cross the railroad track. Is that really our property up there as Wixom Habitat, that little corner that's, I know this may be something you can take offline, but.
I believe so. I can confirm that real quick.
It has no public access because you can't, that seems strange.
I don't know if it's a park, but it's a habitat land.
Yeah, the
It is part of
habitat,
Habitat.
it's over 300 acres, so
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of portions of it that ultimately end up inaccessible.
Well, inaccessible via, standard footpath maybe, but this one you can't legally access because you can't cross the railroad tracks and you can't go through somebody else's property to get to it. So it seems
If you were to
strange me.
trek through, so like where the landing is and all of those things, I mean, you could go through the woods from the public access point on North Wixom Road.
Yeah.
Theoretically, you could get back there.
No, you couldn't. You couldn't cross the railroad track.
Well, I was talking about our portion on the other
Oh, yeah,
side.
yeah. But that says Wixom Habitat up there on southwest corner. I was just looking at the map here on Google Maps, Google Earth, and so anyway, just something to think about. I don't know how a city can have a public land without public access based on my 10 years of experience here in the public domain, but okay, I don't need to beat that one. I'll take it up later if I need to. Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilmember Grunland Fox?
Thank you. Thank you for the overview, much appreciated.
Sure.
I do have a question, and I support the project overall as well, but I do have a question. You talked about the open space being near or at the lot lines, and some different issues that might come into play there. Can you talk about that?
Near or at the lot lines? In my report?
Maybe it was the green space that you were talking about. Near the lots, and so people could maybe clear and do.
Yeah. So, my point there was that under R3, your lot has to be at least 12,500 square feet. And so in order to meet that zoning, they're site condo lots.
See, like for this one in question, this would be their lot.
Okay.
So all of this area would have, depending on condo docs and the way they're written, would have some susceptibility to personal owners saying, this tree in the far background, I want to clear this out and put a shed in or something of that nature. That same lot here ends here, so then this area is then preserved as open space, natural preservation, things of that nature. It might not be the best example in this area to use, but again, as you get into this, kind of as the road curves, the road, A, doesn't work its way closer over to this way, and these lots, again, kind of encroach into these wetlands and natural areas.
My point only there being is that there'd be a little bit more susceptibility to private owners having the rights to maybe clear that property completely.
So how do we ensure that doesn't happen?
Well, A, this area here, in their plan, isn't even on those lots, anymore.
So it's taken care of in this plan?
Correct. And the open space document, the legal agreement that the city enters into with the applicant would basically state that under no circumstances or incredibly limited circumstances can anything done in variance. So if the condo association decided, oh, we want to clear all this land out and do X, Y, Z, whatever it is, they legally can't, I guess without the permission of the city.
But even at that point, that the hammer would be in your hands to say no.
Okay.
Maybe hammer's not the right. You would be able to say no. Okay.
Thank you.
Councilmember Gotcho.
Thank you. Before I get into my points, I guess tying into what was just commented in how do you prevent that? Because as you've run into, you have people that have a driveway on the property and some other things, like if that's just all grassland or sod back there, somebody might just think like, oh, that's my yard, I'm gonna do as I please. Like, as a part of the agreement for open space, is it written in that that will be unmaintained, like no grass, no sod, that way there's a clear natural delineation for people to not think that's their property?
Yeah, I mean, language in the plan, again, it's kind of there's templates for these things, but there's no set one that you would necessarily use. But it essentially has to ensure that those areas shown as open space or natural preservation remain in their current state or somewhat of an unimproved state in perpetuity.
Okay, so we can ensure it won't become grass or sod and then lead to confusion.
Correct.
Okay.
Now,
You'll
how
have
it's
the
physically...
opportunity to see the agreement as well. So, I mean, this is good feedback to make sure that when we're reviewing that agreement prior to bringing it to you, that we make sure the language is right. But yeah, you'll have the chance to approve it too.
Just some sort of natural barrier. In terms of one of the points that was brought up in Planning Commission with the sidewalk, and the resident not wanting that to run near her house, which I don't blame her. Even if you look at the Neeson Court sidewalk and extend that along Maple, it is right near everybody's house, which is a kind of a city imposed issue because it's not remotely like that on the south side of the street. Being that it's been a month between Planning Commission meeting and this meeting, there was talk about curving the path, like I know we're not looking at final site plan tonight, but where are we on that? Like, is that fully corrected?
I know that the applicant's been in conversation with the property owners and the concerns. I'd rather leave that to them to update you on where they are in those conversations.
Okay.
They did not submit revised plans to us in between Planning Commission now and then. And really, we wouldn't want them to anyways, just because it gets confusing.
Yep.
So.
All right, yeah, I'd be fine if it's more toward what is on the south side of the road. I didn't bust out anything to measure other than when I was reviewing this, holding the mouse icon between the sidewalk and the road on the south side, and it was 1 arrow compared to 3.5 on the north side as proposed. So quite a bit different. It wouldn't even be similar to what's there if we enforced what is being proposed. So I'm not a fan of that, and if we can just make sure that gets cleared up. The final thing, getting back to the natural resources, there were a few comments from the Cameron Court residents about trees for the detention pond to the northwest of the property. It looks like the pond, there's a few variations, I think, in terms of what trees come out or the size of them, or I might just be thinking the parallel plan versus that, but I mean, is there a commitment that trees aren't going to be removed for the detention pond?
So again, I'll let the applicant speak to it a little bit. I don't recall that many trees needed to be removed for the stormwater pond. It was more for the running of water through the site and the requirement to loop, I think, was part of the challenge, and that looping would take place in that northwest corner. But I do believe the applicant was agreeable to adding where it would be difficult to alter the utility layout and keep the trees that the community was discussing. I believe the applicant had committed to planting some trees in that area, even though it wasn't necessarily required. Again, I might not have that exactly right, so I want to leave that to the applicant to address.
Okay. And then the final thing is similar to what we did with, and I forget the name of it, but off of Maple along the airline trail, where we said don't remove the trees along the trail to the back. Like, they were going to clear cut everything else for development, but there wasn't a reason for that. And looking at the proposed cluster plan, particularly to the eastern boundary, it looks like there's a bunch of trees there that are in technically the site condo individual lots. So back to your point about an owner might want those to come out, can we, through the process also, as we did with Pulte, get a commitment that things along the boundary aren't going to come out just because we're building a house? Like, a house isn't going to go on the eastern boundary of the whole development. Like, let's leave those trees there and clear what we need to, but not say we need to clear the whole lot just for the sake of clearing the lot.
Yeah, and again, I'll kind of let them speak more to that. I mean, from looking at it to provide some level, of functional lots, as well as, I believe, stormwater piping, that may have been the purpose for those trees to be removed. Not that it is important to say, I mean, I'm a proponent of saving what you can where you can, for sure. I do know that it seems as though from aerials that is more one-off mature trees as opposed to clustering. But again, not to take away from the point, save what we can, and I'll kind of let the applicant speak to that.
Yeah, I think it is mainly lots 11, 12, and 13. I mean, I understand the trees in the middle where a house would be built, but to the back of those lines, it doesn't seem like that there would be a real need to remove those.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Councilmember O'Day?
Thank you. My question is more so for the city manager, assistant city manager, and I apologize, I meant to email last week. So maybe this data, you might have to get back to us, or I guess I'm curious, what kind of support do we have for the need for as much new build in the community as it seems we've been approving over these past couple months? And I say that because, obviously it's robust and have as much commerce as we can have in our city, but I'm also quite concerned with the future of the economy in the country as well as in the state. And the last thing I'd like to see is half-built homes, unsold homes, vacant homes. So do we have a feel for what the demand is for Wixom?
In Wixom specifically, I couldn't give you granular data to say. Actually, I might, and the applicants may be able to speak to this, just given that Mr. Obeid is a home developer and his engineer do a lot of these projects. Broadly speaking, there is a demand for new housing, and I think we've seen that pretty well with how recent subdivisions have been sold. But I think the number one thing to think about in this kind of context is that these are proposals being brought from private property owners, so it's really their discretion, right? Zoning provides them a variety of, hey, here's the things you can do at these levels of densities, and we set the rules of which they build them by. But it's a really a market-driven decision in that sense. That is certainly, and after 2008, and there were years of that, and we still have subdivision. Well, at least one that, hasn't been built out for a variety of reasons. So, I mean, while that's certainly a concern and, the market for these specific types of homes, the values that come with them, it's a different question I think the developers could speak to better. But broadly speaking, there is a very strong demand for all types of housing, rental housing, single-family homes, attached townhomes. It's very well documented, really region-wide.
Okay, very good, because I actually just today was listening to a report that's leaning into that when this bubble bursts, it will exceed 08s in problems. So I'm just very concerned.
Mr. Obeid, would you like to talk about this, or either one?
Speak on that real quick.
Yeah, let's see if they want to talk about it first, then you can.
Good evening, Mike Knowles with the Umlor Group, 49287 West Road in Wixom. Good evening, and thank you, Mr. Pasalakwa. You did the heavy lifting for me on my PowerPoint presentation here, so I won't repeat any of that, but I can speak to the questions that were left unanswered. Regarding housing in general, it's fairly well accepted that we are 5 million houses underwater across the country, nationwide. The reason that we're 5 million houses underwater is because the housing industry as a whole generated between 1.5 and 2.2 million houses every single year until the Great Recession in 08, 09. Every year, we also lose 400,000 houses to normal age, fire, flooding, demolition, those types of things. During the recession, we as an industry reduced our level of housing production down to 400,000 a year. So it was just enough to just keep the replacement housing stock there. But at the same time, we were short 1 million houses for the normal demand for housing. And we did that for 5 years. So we ended up in this hole with 5 million houses short. So when the recession ended and we came back, all the builders trying to get their trades back and trying to get back up to speed and also not wanting to get burned in the same ways that they got burned during the recession, slowly came back. And we're about at that 1.5, 1.8 million per year level again, but it just doesn't make any logical sense about how we could possibly make up those other 5 million missing houses, which is why you saw such an increase in real estate values after the recession was over. Everyone's, wow, my house is worth so much more. Nobody wants to sell and move because they don't want their taxes to reset and they don't want to pay 6 or 8% for a mortgage when we all enjoyed 3% mortgages for some years. So it caused the existing housing stock to just screech to a halt. So nobody was selling their houses. So there's been a big demand for new housing, and you hear it time and time again from various political parties, both sides of the aisle. We need more housing, we need more housing, we need more housing. How are we going to do this? And I hear some of the plans and I think to myself, oh my God, they're proposing, well, let's just build 5 million, the government will help. Well, the whole industry across the entire country can only build 2 million a year. How are you going to just put 5 more million in any particular year or over any course of time? So yes, there is a housing shortage. And yes, there may be another economic catastrophe. You look at the valuations for some of the AI stocks and some of the microchips and some of the other economic indicators. There may be another financial shock, but it won't be because we have too many houses. For that, I assure you. Because we still haven't dug out from the recession that you're referencing how we got here in the first place. So that's to that question. Regarding the sidewalk, I think I have a slide here. I did meet with the folks. Yeah, here we go. So, council member, you can see in the upper right-hand corner of this slide where we are going to propose to change the sidewalk location. It used to be back here, straight across. You can see it on this plan. So we agreed to do that and committed to that both at PC and to the residents. We also, I met with Mr. Baizan. He was sort of representing the Cameron Court folks. Super nice guy. I met him out at his house one day. We walked around. We looked at all the trees. And there were a couple of things that they wanted. And you can see on the bottom photo shows what they were most interested in. Well, I guess I can look here and you can look up there. So we're adding additional screening. You can see the green trees that are being added on Baizan's property. So one of the things we like to do as developers and developers representatives is to meet with neighbors that come out, that have objections to overcome their objections if possible. And also to do a little bit of education on some of the issues. A lot of times, I've been doing this for 30 years, so a lot of times it's just that they don't understand exactly what we're proposing to do from just the preliminary plan. So there was some thought that maybe we had missed some trees on the tree survey, and that was an issue with Wixom's tree survey requirement. Tree replacement requirement is 8-inch diameter and above, and the trees that were missed were 5.5, 6-inch trees, which is why they're not required to be on the plan, and some off-site trees and those types of things. So before meeting with Mr. Bizon, we staked the property line and we staked the proposed 12-foot water main easement. And you can see the red dots on the plan there. Those were where the stakes were, so that he and I could physically walk through there and say, well, this tree's gonna go. There's one particular tree that he liked. It's an 11-inch poplar. Not usually a very, ironically, not usually a very popular tree. But it's a big tree, and that's the thing with trees, right? So it may not, you might have a cottonwood, or you might have a poplar, or you might have something that's like kind of not the greatest tree, but if it's a big tree and it's the only one, it's nice to have. So we agreed to move the water main easement to miss the 11-inch poplar. He agreed to let us plant additional trees on his property as part of the screening. At the Planning Commission meeting, we had indicated that the developer, Haitham Obeid, would be willing to plant additional trees, but we wanted to be careful to not plant them on top of the water main, because that's also a no-no, So he was very cooperative with us as well to allow us to plant those trees. Now that doesn't short the requirements in the ordinance for the required street trees and the replacement trees and all that. These are additional trees over and above that. While we were at it, we also didn't want to leave the people to the south out who didn't request a particular meeting, but we added additional trees. You can see in green here. Additional trees that we're proposing to add screening for those folks, because they did come out and they were represented at the meeting, and we didn't want to treat the people to the north differently from the people to the south. And let's face it, screening works both ways, right? So our residents will have some privacy in their backyards, as well as these folks on Maple Road. Additionally, Councilman, one of your questions was there looks like there's some larger trees along the property edge on the very east side over there. And you can see in this slide where I've proposed moving the storm line to the north to make room for these screen trees that we're going to plant. We can easily do that along that east edge as well. Those lots are plenty deep, so we can slide the storm over another 10 feet and save those that are right, the larger trees that are right on the property line, just as we did along Airline Trail. So those were like the big things that we talked about with the residents, met with them personally. We have just incorporated them into the presentation, and now the next step will be final site plan, which is essentially the same plan with these drawn up by our professional draftsmen and engineers, and it'll be a new plan, and Mr. Pasalacqua can review it and say, yep, they did what they said they were going to do. The path's in the right place, the trees are in the right place, the counts all work. So that's the next step, and then of course we go through the final engineering construction documents and permitting, and then ultimately move on with the development. So we're looking forward to that. As far as Mr. Obeid's product, 2,000 to 2,500 square feet. You've seen some of his product right down the road over at Maple Glen. He's been a long-time builder in Wixom. His father built in Wixom. He does a nice job. This is 16 more units. It certainly won't saturate any market with 16 units. Or I'm sorry, it's 18 units. But again, the volume in the market in Southeast Michigan is so much larger than that. That there's virtually no fear that this will flood any particular market, or the Wixom market in particular. So I think that answers the questions that were posed to me, and I won't go through the rest of these slides because I think Mr. Pasolacqua did a great job of doing that. The Wixom Habitat Park. So when I put this slide together, it's kind of like that's what the green arrow is. It's across the way. So that's not the actual Wixom Habitat Park. You can see it here on this slide. The subject site is in the red box that says R3. And you can see there's one piece of property between our property and the Wixom Habitat Park across the railroad tracks. So the point of the slide, what I was trying to get at on this particular one with, you've got this large 300-acre preserve that this is all contiguous, bifurcated by the railway, of course, but it makes more sense whenever you're preserving large open spaces to try to put them adjacent to other large open spaces because it makes a better habitat for all of the critters and that live in those and take advantage of those spaces. So that was one benefit of this particular plan over the parallel plan.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Thank you, Mayor. I think most of my questions already got answered. Thank you. Thanks very much. And thanks for the clarification that the preservation is in perpetuity as well.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
It's good to know. The current Google map shows an outbuilding north on that the residence at 4004 Maple.
Yes.
Is that going to be demolished and torn down then?
It sure is. You could see the red box in the upper right-hand corner of this slide. Yeah, that's coming down. That's an encroachment on the property, and we are removing it. Yes.
And that was answered already. Just a comment, again, no ranches for us old people?
I love a ranch too. You've heard me say it before. I'm in a first floor master down. It's not a ranch. I've got the rooms upstairs for the kids when they come home, which is more and more rare these days. But it's tough. Everybody says they want a ranch until you put a ranch on your price list, because on a price per square foot basis, ranches cost more, and everybody says, well, I'm paying $20 a square foot more total for less square footage, and it becomes a tough sell. So I push for them all the time too. I'm in the market to buy my mother-in-law a ranch condo right now. We've been looking at several of them, and they're tough to find.
Just interesting, the last
Yes.
Yes. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Behrman?
Thank you. I was just going to note that I did look at the property north, and that open land north is the open land that belongs to the Cameron Court development. So that property is going to stay. That was their open land, I guess, probably when their development was proposed. I was concerned about the sidewalk layout. I like this picture you just showed where the sidewalk is curving back in, because clearly down the road, we'd probably like to see the sidewalk be connected all the way down, at least to the railroad tracks. And there are 7 houses there that are fairly close to the road that are not going to allow the sidewalk to be done like it was on Nissan Court. So at least we're preparing for that when that sidewalk goes in there in front of those houses down the road, that it won't cut through, right next to their front porch.
Right.
And then lastly, I found it interesting that the Cameron Court people didn't want a sidewalk connection, because I've actually had someone who lives on Cameron Court approach me indicating that they kind of feel like they're off in no man's land. The city doesn't care about them because they don't have a sidewalk connection to their property in any way, shape, or form. And it would be awfully easy for us to give them a sidewalk connection through this development, and then fix in front of those 7 houses and connect them to the entire system, whereas coming down Maple Road is going to be a very impossible task to ever. They're never going to be connected. This is like their one shot, their one opportunity, probably.
Well, they had a lot to say about that. So, first of all, Cameron Court, the neighborhood doesn't have sidewalks throughout, so they walk in the streets. The second thing is, they were concerned more about the traffic going the other way. They live in a very rural setting. They want to keep it that way. They said they'd be quite happy to go down the gravel road and then onto Maple Road from Cameron Court to access sidewalks when they want to go for a bike or want to go for a ride, but they would rather not have it dumped into the back of their neighborhood. So
By any stretch of imagination, that's what they want. We'll have to remember that if they ever come back and want a sidewalk built down Maple Road there.
One of the easiest things for any developer to do is to give some landscaping or give some sidewalks. You know, they sell themselves. Landscaping helps the development. In fact, Mr. Obeid includes landscaping in the packages, and this site will be no different. Landscaping will be included when you buy a home. People love the walking trails, and it boils down to that those folks don't want that, and we're honoring their wishes.
And I said it again, his neighborhood he built down the street is beautiful. I'm sure this one will be just the same. I also really do like how you move the detention pond to the back. The development off Wixom Road that is still being built, that is not finished yet, with the detention pond right up on Wixom Road. I think that's just really poor design. So I like the fact that this one's in the back. So that's all I have.
Councilmember Gremlin Fox?
Thank you for the additional information.
You're welcome.
As far as talking about we need more housing and all of that, I like the modest size of these. We were just talking about that up here. I didn't see, and maybe I missed it, the price point.
So the price point isn't in here. You did not miss it. They'll be in the 500s. Yeah. It's really tough to build a house under 400,000 these days, and particularly in a small neighborhood, because you still have all of the same costs. You still got to build a detention basin and an entrance and all the things similar to the ranch thing, where you still got to do a foundation and a roof and a kitchen and a furnace. So the cheaper square footage in a ranch, it's the same with a development. When you have bigger developments, they can be less expensive, and you can start to offer homes in the 400s. But a development like this, there's no way to touch it for under 500,000 here, which is actually the starter end of the market now for new homes. My daughter's in the market. Yeah, my daughter's in the market, and she's been married a year. Her and her husband, I mean, she's a physician's assistant. She's got a good job, but she's 1 year into that. She doesn't have a lot. And her husband works for an engineering company. He's a construction manager. So they have two incomes, and they wanted to try to get something more affordable, and you just can't find it. You just can't find it. They looked at a house right here in the Village Center area. It was a resale, not a new construction. And they ended up over on the Robertson Brothers lots over in Crystal Lake, over in Commerce, right next door. But it's more, it's a lot. My first house was $85,000 when I bought it in '93, and they're going to be $550 getting into that house, and it's their first house, and they can barely do it.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Yeah, I just want to make a correction too. One of the reasons why I don't want to move is because I want to have to clean my basement. It's just.
That's a good reason too.
But no, I just want to thank everybody who put their hard work into this plan. I want to thank Mr. Obeid that you listen to the residents, you listen to the Planning Commission, and you're listening to us, and you're making those corrections and making it what the citizens of Wixom want. So thank you for that. So with that, I've got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to approve a preliminary site condominium plan proposed as a cluster housing development at 4038 West Maple from Pine Cove Investments LLC for the development of 18 single-family residential lots on 2 parcels totaling 9.35 acres, zones R3, 1 family residential, parcel identification number 17-31-151-046 and 17-31-151-047 with conditions as recommended by the Planning Commission. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
New business number 3 is the recommendation to waive the competitive bid price and purchase the extraction package from McQueen Equipment of Romeo, Michigan in the amount not to exceed $50,000 from Jaws of Life account number 401-336-978.356. Do I have a motion?
Support.
Very good. Chief Geisler.
Good evening, sir, council. In front of you is a proposal for replacement of extrication equipment that we currently have that is approximately almost 20 years old. The new equipment would align with new vehicle technology and the ultra-high strength steels that are being used to meet the new IIHS standards for crash testing. This proposal is for 4 separate pieces of equipment. These tools are portable, they're battery operated, they have a runtime of 45 minutes under load. It's a huge increase from what we're currently utilizing. That's a hose-driven hydraulic fluid needed system. So way down lithium-ion batteries. So they have, I believe, it's in the neighborhood of over 3,000 charges. And with, I don't want to say the infrequency that we use them, but at the same time, we're not, using the tools every day, not in car accidents. So, but when we need them, they're there and they need to work.
And get more practice during the
Yes.
your open house.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Very good, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Seeing none, I've got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to waive the competitive bid process and purchase the extraction package from McQueen Equipment of Romeo, Michigan in the amount not to exceed $50,000 from Jaws of Life account number 401-336-798.356. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Chief. New business number 4 is a recommendation to approve sponsorship of one applicant through the Oakland Police Academy with $34,661 funded as follows. $17,359 from Desk Aids account number 101-301-703.377. $8,152 from Cadet Fringe Benefits account number 101-301-711.100. $3,000 from uniform account number 101-301-956.372, and $6,150 from training police account number 101-301-955.200. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Support. Very good, thank you. Chief Langmeyer.
Good evening, folks. In this year's budget, we budgeted to send promote 3 cadets or service aides to the position of cadet, send them to the academy, get them trained to fill positions that we have. We currently have 2 in the Oakland Police Academy. They'll graduate here next month, beginning of next month. We'll bring them before you then to get them sworn in and get them out on the road training. And we have found out recently that we now have another opening that is pending here mid-December is what I'm being told. Right about the time we bring these 2 back, we're going to lose one of our officers who's moving on to Southfield PD. So we're coming here today to see if we can get somebody prepared to go to the academy in January. It starts at the end of January, Oakland Police Academy again, to get that position filled. With future vacancies that we have coming at the end of next year, it's kind of imperative that we keep these people moving through the academy so that we can stay staffed on the road. So we're requesting to send one to the academy. I'll be free to answer any kind of questions.
Councilmember Behrman?
I guess my only question would be, is the individual that we're losing to Southfield, was that someone that we previously put through the academy, or is it?
Yes, it is, and he will have his 3 years from our agreement December 1st, I believe it is, or December 6th. So he's going to be outside of the recoup the money
Okay.
phase.
But beyond that, everyone so far has stopped.
Yes,
Okay.
this is the first one to indicate that he's going to be leaving.
Hope Southfield is what he wants.
So do I.
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Thank you. The anticipated 2026 attrition, is that due to retirements, hopefully?
Yes, that'll be due to retirements, and once we get further along into the summertime, I'll come back to you then, and we're going to try to find a couple active duty officers and bring them on board instead of sending more people to the academy. I'm not going to request a budget to send people to the academy for next year. I wanted to see if we can bring some lateral transfers in from other departments and get some experience here.
Thank you.
Councilmember Sharp?
Thank you, Mayor. Chief Langmeyer, I'm just kind of clarifying, it's 3 years is the commitment for reimbursement of the, they have to stay on 3 years after coming out of the academy before they can leave without being responsible to repay any of the training money.
The first two that we sent through the academy, Officer Spring and Officer Freshwater, they were 3 years. The law was then changed to allow us to now go 4 years, which is what we do now. Is
4 years. Okay, that's good. All right, thank you.
And that's 4 years after they complete the FTO program, so it's staying there 5 years. So
Yeah, all right.
the problem that we have there is this officer, the state of Michigan has up their grant again for next year. They've approved the funding for it, so we'll request funding from the state of Michigan. It's $20,000 per person that you send, so that'll pay for the academy, pay for a good chunk of this for us if we get the grant.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to approve sponsorship of one applicant through the Oakland Police Academy with $34,661 funded as follows: $17,359 from Desk Aids account number 101-301-703.377, $8,152 from Cadet Fringe Benefits account number 101-301-711.100, $3,000 from Uniforms account number 101-301-956.372, and $6,150 from Training Police account number 101-301-955.200. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Chief. Now, moves us on to new business number 5, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I know there was a correction on this, so I'll read it how I feel the corrections are in it. But it's a recommendation to award a 5-year contract, 3 base years plus 2 optional years with 2%, 3% increases to Metro Environmental Services Incorporated of Wall Lake, Michigan for street sweeping not to exceed $33,000 annually and sewer inspection, cleaning, and repair not to exceed $100,000 annually, with $2,355 from routine maintenance material account number 202-441-976.050, $7,555 from routine maintenance material account number 203-441-976.050, $4,090 from street sweeping account number 101-441-804.390, and $100,000 from televising and cleaning account number 590-538-960.000. Is that correct?
Spots were correct, but the number goes to 110, not to 100.
I'm sorry, to 110. All right. All those, do I have a motion?
So moved. Support.
Very good. Mr. Sickma.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I apologize for the correction. We were looking at preventive maintenance at 60,000, and we needed to add the additional 50,000 for additional sewer cleaning that we are planning to do over the next year. And that will benefit us greatly, I feel. Every 5 to 7 years, we try and clean the entire sanitary sewer system, and this funding will help that. Metro Sewer, as a company, has been working with the city of Wixom for over 30 years, and we're very pleased with the work that they do. for the community. They are members of the community, and they've supported us in stormwater and the sanitary sewer over this time. They also do our street sweeping and have been very good at that as well. They respond quickly to the emergencies that we have in the sewer systems when we have them, and we're able to get the systems flowing, if you will, as soon as possible after that. And we recommend continuing to work with them over the next 5 years if the council desires that. And I'd be open to questions at this time.
Any questions?
Thanks.
Getting off easy, man. I got a motion, a second, to approve the recommendation to award a 5-year contract, 3 base years plus 2 optional years, with 2% and 3% increases to Metro Environmental Services Incorporated of Wall Lake, Michigan for street sweeping not to exceed $33,000 annually, and sewer inspection, cleaning, and repair not to exceed $110,000 annually, with $21,355 from routine maintenance material account number 202-441-976.050, $7,555 from routine maintenance material account number 203-441-976.050, $4,090 from street sweeping account number 101-441-804.390, and $110,000 from televising and cleaning account number 590-538-960.000. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. All right. I know, I'm having a problem talking tonight. New business number 6 is a discussion of data centers requested by Councilmember Gaccio. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I wanted to bring this up because it's been a hot topic in a number of other increasingly geographically close communities, and it's not been received well. It usually comes about in those cities because they end up getting sued because a data center isn't allowed, and then there's inevitably a settlement and the residents are upset. And a lot of this seems to stem off of just a lack of planning and clear standards in the townships and cities. The Frenchtown, there was news last night, as Mr. Behrman pointed out to me, but Saline, Dundee, a bunch of communities that are more rural now, but they are starting to move closer to urban areas for data centers. And I was hoping we might be able to discuss or make plans as a city or direct planning commission to study it, since they're in the master plan review process now. But hopefully to prepare the city if we were to ever get a proposal for a data center, we'd have some standards and zoning worked out, so we would be able to avoid being ambiguous, getting sued, having a settlement, and having a bunch of upset people. So I wanted to get everyone else's feedback, and then if it seems like there's consensus, probably make a motion to direct planning commission to study this and make any proposals they feel would be prudent for the city. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Resnick?
Thank you. Councilman Gaccio and I talked about this on the phone. There has been a lot of interest. Another one to add to that list is Kalkaska, west of Kalkaska. The only comment I have is DTE can barely power our houses here, so I know we'll be a target for a data center. But I think it's worth preempting and just getting the wording in there while we're doing the master plan. It's not a bad idea.
Councilmember Behrman?
Listening to the news stories coming out of the 2 local communities lately, that was the same argument. DTE can't provide them with power, but yet DTE is still the developer behind the one data center. So I'd be in favor of at least moving forward to determine where said data center would be and get it in our zoning, so they can't say that we didn't provide for it. You know, maybe the land behind the Assembly Park, where it's currently manufactured home and data center. Perfect.
I was just going to say, if I may, and I appreciate Councilmember Gottschall, communicating ahead of time so I could, come prepared in case there were questions. Just so from a regulatory perspective now, we would classify data centers as, and I'm sorry, I'm quoting here, the design and development of computer hardware and software, data communications, information technology, data processing, and other computer-related services. That's a designation within our zoning ordinance that honestly predates current data centers. So I think, and we don't further define data centers in our ordinance, so I think there's an opportunity for a further definition. But one of the key things with that is that description I just gave you is a permitted use in M1 and M2 industrial districts, as well as office service and industrial research office districts. So currently, our interpretation would be that you could submit a site plan to do a data center, in one of those zoning districts, or reoccupy an existing facility and convert it into a data center. One of the key things to keep in mind, and I couldn't, sitting here, I couldn't tell you that, we don't have any active site plans for a data center. We've received calls. There's some level of interest in some of the few larger acreage parcels we have. Our largest possible properties range from 38 to 78 acres. So there's a couple spots that it could fit. And right now, we do not have any specific standards outside of your general development standards that would regulate it. So one good example is that any industrial property is required that all buildings, off-street parking, loading, and storage areas shall be a minimum of 50 feet from any adjacent residential district. And those are just standards that, given Wixom's large industrial areas, we've set up a number of these things to kind of protect. But if there are specific standards that are desirable for specifically data centers, I think this is as good of opportunity as any to consider exploring that. I will say that Wixom's kind of, I think, a unique situation given that we have such heavy infrastructure already in place from Ford. The overhead, heavy utility lines are still there. They used to service it, so whether it is, the remaining M2 portion of the Ford plant, there's some adjacent properties on the west side of Wixom Road that could be serviced by that too. So it is certainly possible, not to the same scale. I think Howell Township was looking at 1,000 acres, Frenchtown was about 250. Unless Oakland County Parks is willing to sell some of their property, you just couldn't get 250 together, but either way, I think we could see. That's my opinion, so.
Anybody else? Councilmember Gatchell?
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion that council directs planning commission to study data centers within Wixom's future and make any proposals related to zoning, master planning, future planning, and ordinance language that they feel appropriate. Thank you.
Okay, I got a motion and a second to approve that item right there. I can't repeat that, but we'll get it later. But all those in favor?
Can we have some discussion on the motion?
Sure.
Is there timing associated with that, or what, if I have the floor? I didn't hear a motion until just then, so now I've got something to talk to.
I don't have
specific. What do you want them to do? It's kind of, seems vague. Are they to interpret this motion and come with anything, or is there timing you want it back by, or what?
When is the master plan expected to be completed?
You all should, it's going to depend on how many times they need to see a couple things before they approve a final draft for you. Earliest you may see it in late January, you might see it as late as March. But I will say, I don't think master planning isn't the portion of this that I think is relevant. Really what I'm interpreting how we would present this to them is really just looking at your ordinance language as it is. And realistically, it'll take a couple meetings. We'll have to present it. Carlisle Wortman actually represents Saline Township, so they actually have some experience with this kind of language in the first place, I would say it takes 3-4 months to get something back to you. Updated language or a recommendation if they have one.
If any, right. You've left it open-ended to leave it be or not, just to study it to determine if something needs to be done.
I don't feel like there needs to be a date. I'm not opposed to a date, but I know other stuff might come up on their agendas. Like this, to me, is like, get back to us in a reasonable time frame. Like, if it's this time next year, that's too long. But, I mean, I don't want to say like you need to start having super long meetings just to entertain us.
So not before I'm off council.
Yeah.
That's correct.
You won't have to vote on it.
All right.
All right.
I won't have to vote.
Any
Hear
other-
that, Veronica?
Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, I got a motion and a second to approve the wording of the motion that Councilmember Gotchall sent out. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. And that concludes the new business portion of our meeting tonight. It moves on to the second call to the public. I'll reread those rules. The public shall address the council during the call to the public, which shall be included on the agenda immediately after correspondence, and again immediately after new business. The first call to the public immediately after correspondence shall be limited to agenda items only. A person shall not address the council unless in excess of 5 minutes, unless the time is extended by a majority vote of the council present. Persons wishing to address the council shall identify themselves and their place of residence and shall state their reasoning for addressing the council, and all comments by the public shall be made directly to the council. Do we have anybody for the second call to the public? Students, you guys don't have anything to say? Anybody want to come up and tell us what you've learned tonight? Who's the spokesperson? All right. Yeah.
Tell us your name.
No, just tell us what you've learned tonight.
I learned a lot about how the police station runs. I like how it's small because then you get to know everybody here, and it's just, I don't know, I like it. I like things nicer when they're smaller, especially our school. I learned how long a meeting could be. And yeah.
Very good. Well, thank you. Thank you guys for being here tonight and staying. We appreciate it. And like I say, guys, are welcome back anytime, or even you can watch us on TV. So, and city manager comments. City Manager Brown.
Thank you, Your Honor. First off, in response to the young lady's comment about how long meetings can be, I just had a meeting with other city managers today where they bemoaned the fact that their meetings started at 7 p.m. and the latest that they have gone is 2:48 a.m. So that's 7 hours and 48 minutes. So you can be glad you didn't attend a council meeting like that in that community. So congratulations.
That sounds like your first day on the job.
Yeah, I had a few that were past midnight, but not 2:48. So grateful for what we have here in Wixom in a lot of ways. So no kidding. The things that I wanted to cover from the city manager update, our city clerk, Crystal Apolco, received the Michigan Fair Elections Institute Sunlight Award for her work in maintaining election integrity with the work that she's done in our community. And maybe I'm talking too loud or too close. I don't know. Are we getting feedback? No. Okay, I'm hearing something. So I just wanted to say congratulations to Crystal for receiving the award for demonstrating significant responsiveness and cooperation in addressing duplicate registration. So long story short, the MFEI, as I'll call it so I don't have to repeat that, had basically identified issues, sent communications out to clerks, some of which took action and some of which did not, and our clerk readily took action on that and addressed the issues that were raised by that institute and pushed to maintain election integrity in Wixom. And congratulations, Crystal, for that award. Well-deserved, as you all know, does a great job for us in Wixom. We're lucky to have her as our clerk. And the fire department, kind of in timely fashion in relation to the hospitality house, Susan Erspamer, who came and addressed us earlier for the CDBG action item. The fire department did inform me that they have a drive or an event, actually, the Breakfast with Santa event that they do every year. It's scheduled for December 13th this year, and each year approximately 1,200 pounds of food are donated to support Hospitality House, so that's another example of what was mentioned earlier. So kudos to the fire department for their ongoing efforts to support Hospitality House. And we also mentioned in the report that the DDA is doing a food drive for Hospitality House. It's running November 5th through December 5th. We have a variety of, I think there are 4 collection points in businesses in downtown. We also have a collection point in the City Hall that we are maintaining as well. That is in place and has already had its first collection taken to Hospitality House. There was a lot of support within City Hall, and they're having it as a kind of a contest arrangement for those 4 business locations to see who can take in the greatest amount of food and benefit Hospitality House to the greatest extent possible, sort of a friendly competition. So thanks to the DDA, Lord Cloutier, and all the board members for all their work in getting that started. And again, thanks to the fire department for their support of the Hospitality House as well. They mentioned how much work they do in supporting people that need it in the city of Wixom, and we appreciate them for that. The other
Can
thing
I
I'd like
can I
to-
interrupt for a second? Just
absolutely.
talking about the DDA and the Hospitality House, their first collection gathered 765 pounds of food and personal care items, so
Nice.
that's awesome.
And how many were scheduled?
There's 4.
4, I believe, right? So that hopefully they'll get still more at the next 3. We'll have a really nice donation process for Hospitality House to support them in the work that they do. Then just a little bit of information on the personnel front in the city. Today was a big day for us. We had a couple of people join us on staff. We had a part-time floater position that had been held for a few years by an incumbent, and they went on to a full-time opportunity in another neighboring community. We had a Wixom resident join us as our part-time floater, and then also the finance director position is going to be opening up in January with the retirement of our longtime incumbent, Marilyn Stamper, as our finance director. She's worked her way up from the very lowest entry point into the city to having served as our finance director for many, many years, and we appreciate all the work that she's done. She's going to retire in January. We had a solicitation process, and a offer was extended and accepted, and that person, Angie Rabb, started as our new finance director. They're working together for a couple of months to train Angie and all the things that she will need to do as our finance director. So we appreciate Marilyn's many, many years of service. We're going to cover that later, but I just wanted to say thank you at this point. And also the fact that she's staying available and doing a transition period with Angie Rabb is going to be very, very beneficial for Angie and for the city. So she had her first day today. We tried not to overwhelm her. We'll see how we did if she shows up tomorrow. I think she will, though. So we're appreciative of Angie Rabb joining us, and I continue to be appreciative of the fact that we managed to fill positions in the city. It's not an easy process for a lot of communities. I think with the leadership from council, the great base of coworkers that people have to work with in the city, I think that we're fortunate and managed to continue to fill these positions very easily, actually, and I hope that continues. So that's all I had this evening. I'm happy to answer any questions that might come up, or if there's something else on your mind.
All right. Assistant City Manager Benson, anything?
I have no additional comments.
Very good. Council comments. Councilmember Sharp.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank students from St. William for coming and staying awake and being attentive and quiet. That's all wonderful attributes. Thank you to their mentor, Kelly Monahan, for being here as well and getting everybody here. I understand some parents are out there, and you all said, we want to stay. So that's fantastic. Thank you very much. That's it.
Councilmember Behrman.
I was going to say, we even gave them the opportunity by giving them the picture first that they could have snuck out, and you guys still stuck around, so that is really nice to see. A lot of residents come and tell us what they want and then still don't stay. So thank you. Congratulations to Crystal on her recognition and running a successful election. And congratulations to our mayor, who was reelected for another 2 years. And Councilwoman Grenlyn Fox, who's going to be for another 4 years. And then we have 2 new members that will be joining us next year. So, yeah, hiding out there in the audience. So,
You can run, but you can't hide.
yeah. So just think you'll be up here soon. But look forward to seeing the future.
Very good. Councilmember Gacho.
Thank you. Also wanted to thank St. William for being here. I will let you know, the last meeting we had was our record shortest, so you guys missed out by a few weeks on a really good meeting. Probably learned a little bit more tonight, hopefully. The other thing, kind of a side note, relating to the cluster development, when I was looking over sidewalk plans, I tried to find our safety path map on our website, and it links to one from 2011. I know we've seen that since then. Sidewalks weren't proposed for that area, so if we can just get that updated, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Very good. Councilmember Garland Fox.
I too would like to thank the students. It's always nice to see all those fresh faces out there, and it's very impressive that you did stay, so thank you. And then, yes, also congratulations to Crystal. Nice job. Thank you.
Welcome. Councilmember O'Day.
Thank you. I guess I will continue with everyone else here, echoing the sentiment of just, how nice and refreshing it is to not just see students here, but your faces, not the top of your heads, because you're looking down at devices, phones, whatever, trying to pass the time. So I am not surprised you are from one of our fine Catholic schools. Congratulations to Crystal. Well-deserved. And finally, just, there are some tough times for a lot of folks in our community, in our state, all around, with the Thanksgiving holiday coming up next week. Just definitely want to encourage people to be as thankful as possible for all of the many wonderful things we have.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Resnick.
Thank you. Also echo those comments. Thank you, Kelly Monahan, and the students from St. Williams. Again, I hope you got something out of this. You see democracy in action, right? Elected officials up here debating different things. Crystal, another great election. Thank you so much, and congratulations on the Sunlight Award. We got to figure out who's going to be the Blizzard person, maybe, and then over the next 4 years. I'm just looking at Veronica. She has no idea what that means, but
that's part of your contract.
That's part of my contract. In perpetuity. Huh? And other than that, congratulations to all the candidates who won. Mayor Beagle, Councilwoman Grunland Fox, and Veronica and Jason as well. It'll be great to see you sworn in and welcome you on board when the time comes here. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Very good. And I'll echo everybody's comments with St. Williams being here tonight. And it is great to see you guys not on your phones and paying attention, and we appreciate it. And also, never a doubt in my mind about our clerk and the job that she does, and I'm not surprised that she won this award, and I'm sure there's many more in her future here. But I do demand a recount, because I don't think I got that many votes, but I'm just...
Second.
There were 30, right?
Yeah. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
I think